All right, so today what we're going to be working on is dividing algebraic fractions. So I'd like you to put me on pause and do the try this and come back and check your answers. Remember, when you divide fractions, you do same, change, flip. All right, so put on pause and then come back. Okay, so let's take a look at number one. So when we divide fractions, we do same, change, flip. So I'm going to keep 1/8 the same, change the multiplication, and flip the fraction. I'm multiplying by the reciprocal. So what I could do instead of just multiplying across is I could reduce 4 and 8 to 1 and 2. So then I get 1/6. All right, let's take a look at number two. So I have 14, times 21/25. I can reduce 5 and 25 to 1 and 5. 14 and 21 reduce to 2 and 3. So my answer is 3/10. All right, so we're going to do the same thing with algebraic fractions. We're going to be dividing. So basically, it's the same exact thing as multiplying, because what you're going to do is you're going to have to do same, change, flip, and change to multiplication. All right, so let's just take a look at the steps. So you might have heard it as keep, change, flip, or same, change, flip, or same, change, something like that. So what we're really doing is we are multiplying by the reciprocal of the second fraction. Then you're going to factor completely, reduce, and then multiply across. So let's take a look at number one. So I see x squared minus 9 over 4x divided by 3x plus 9 over 2x. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change to multiplication and flip the fraction. So I'm multiplying by the reciprocal. Remember, reciprocal means to flip the fraction. Now it's a multiplication problem, what we've been working on. So x squared minus 9 factors and becomes x plus 3, x minus 3. It's the difference of two perfect squares. 4x cannot be factored. It's a monomial. 2x cannot be factored. That's a monomial. 3x plus 9 factors and becomes 3 times x plus 3. So there's multiplication in between x plus 3, x minus 3. In between 4 and x. In between 2 and x. And in between 3 and x plus 3. So now let's reduce. So remember, when I reduce, I'm working from left to right in the numerator. X plus 3 reduces with x plus 3. They're the same. They reduce to 1. I have x minus 3, nothing going on there. 2 and 4 reduce to 1 and 2. And then x and x reduce to 1 and 1. So what's left in the numerator when I multiply across is x minus 3. Over in the denominator, I have the 2 and the 3, which is 6. So my answer is x minus 3/6. All right, let's take a look at the back. All right, so number 2 says x squared minus 1 over 3 divided by 3 minus 3x. Now, it looks a little complicated, but it's really not, because I could take 3 minus 3x and just put that over 1 and make it a fraction. I could do that because I could make any number a fraction by putting it over 1. So I'm going to do same, change, flip. X squared minus 1 over 3 multiplied by the reciprocal of the second fraction, 1 over 3 minus 3x. And now I'm going to factor. X squared minus 1 is the difference of two perfect squares. That's x plus 1, x minus 1. Over 3, which is a monomial. That cannot be factored. Times 1 over 3 minus 3x, GCF is 3, times 1 minus x. And now we're going to reduce. I have multiplication here in between x plus 1, x minus 1. And in between 3 and 1 minus x. So I have 1 plus x does not reduce with anything. X minus 1 and 1 minus x, they're opposites, so they reduce to -1. And then I have 1 here, nothing's going on there. So I have negative, remember, put the negative with the bar, x plus 1 over 9, because I have 3 times 3, which is 9. All right, let's take a look at number 3. All right, so now 3 has 3 terms here. So I have multiplication. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to change the multiplication, the division, it's multiplication, and then flip the last fraction. All right, so I have 3x over x minus 1 times x squared minus 1 over x times, multiplied by the reciprocal, 3 over x plus 1. 3x cannot be factored, so I just write 3x. X minus 1 cannot be factored, so put it in parentheses so you know it's grouped together. Times, x squared minus 1 is x plus 1, x minus 1, that is dots. over x, monomial, can't be factored. 3 cannot be factored. X plus 1 cannot be factored, so I put it in parentheses. So I have multiplication in between 3 and x. Multiplication in between x plus 1, x minus 1. And that's it. Let's start reducing. So I have a 3, no 3s or 6 or 9 in the denominator. I can't do the 3 in the numerator over here, so don't do that. X and x reduce to 1 and 1. X plus 1 and x plus 1 reduce to 1 and 1. X minus 1 and x minus 1 reduce to 1 and 1. And then I have 3, nothing going on there. So in the numerator, I have 3 times 3, which is 9. And in the denominator, it's just 1. So my answer is just 9. All right, let's take a look at 4. Okay, so 4, same thing. I'm going to change this division to multiplication and multiply by that reciprocal there. So I'm just rewriting this. So I have x squared minus 3x plus 2 over 4x times 12 over x squared over 2x minus x squared times x over x minus 1. Now we need to start factoring. So this here is a trinomial. I have to do master product. So I get, multiply the first times the last, I get positive 2x squared. What multiplies to 2x squared adds to 3. That would be negative 2x and negative 1x. And then bring down the front and bring down the ends. And then I factor by grouping. So GCF of the first group is x, and then I have x minus 2. GCF of the second group is negative 1, so I get x minus 2. Okay, so my factors are, I'm going to write them down here now. So I have x minus 1 times x minus 2. 4x cannot be factored. 12x squared cannot be factored. 2x minus x squared can be factored. GCF is x times 2 minus x. So that was x times 2 minus x. Times x cannot be factored, and x minus 1 cannot be factored, so I put in parentheses. All right, so now we will reduce. So let's see, there's multiplication here, in between x minus 1, x minus 2, in between 4 and x, in between 12 and x squared, in between x and 2 minus x, and that's it. So let's reduce. X minus 1 and x minus 1 reduce to 1 and 1. X minus 2, 2 minus x reduces to negative 1. Those are opposites. 12 and 4 reduce to 3 and 1. X squared and x, that reduces to x in the numerator and 1 in the denominator. And then I still have an x here, so I can reduce that x with this x. So that reduces to 1 and 1. And then I have an x left there, and there's nothing going on. So what's left in the numerator and denominator? I have negative 3x over 1, which is just negative 3x. Okay, so that's it, and have a good night.